All right, guys. So today we're talking about axle housings, the strengths and weaknesses of the axles, and why are JK and JL guys having issues with housing breakages. These are things that really didn't happen back in the day. So why is it happening? So let's get into some good news. Okay. First of all, over the years, one thing that has gotten better is the internal parts. Your gears have gotten bigger, the bearings have gotten bigger, your U-joints have gotten bigger. So let's just start these right here. This is your Dana 30 TJ short pinion. So you can see that guy is shorter. This is your Dana 30, just your standard Scout, Bronco, Jeep CJ Dana 30 pinion. So you can see it's a little bit longer, but again, bearing size, still the same. Now we jump to your Dana 44, just your standard low pinion 44. High pinion is just going to be reverse cut. But you can see, again, your pinion does not get any bigger. Your outer pinion bearing is actually exactly the same. And your inner pinion diameter, again, you're gaining something. Your ring gear obviously gets bigger, but you're not getting a ton of extra strength. So then we jump into your JK stuff. Now, the JK stuff is actually very cool internally. Why is it really cool? Well, first of all, you look at, this is a Dana 60 right here. So you look at your Dana 60 and you go, compared to your JK, and you go, well, dang, those inner bearings journals are the same size. And if you actually mic these out, your JK outer pinion bearing diameter, the bearing journal diameter, is about 60 thousandths larger diameter than your standard Dana 60. So again, internally, we've gotten a lot better. Look at, I mean, just that's crazy. And if you go check out Carl Jantz, Jantz Engineering, he actually has kits to put JK low pinion gears in your standard Dana 44 housings. So if you look at it, yeah, I think the Dana 44 is, in my opinion, one of the best axles ever built. Has a couple weak points, pinions and U-joints. Well, if you stuff these JK gears in there, your pinion is no longer a weak point, which is a massive, massive upgrade. And you can look at these gears compared to even a Dana 60 and go, I would almost rather have the JK stuff as opposed to the Dana 60 stuff. And again, if you can upgrade that axle, not have to necessarily go to a 1-ton axle, but still get as close to, if not almost the same strength as a 60, that is huge. So now we jump into the JLs. Now these gears actually came out of a Gladiator, non-Rubicon Gladiator. So this would be your rear axle, which would be a standard cut. If you look at the diameter, it's 8 5/8. Your standard 44 is 8 1/2. But again, look at these pinions. Now they're shorter, but look at the diameter of these things. And they are using massive, massive bearings, massive yokes, the splines, everything. This is your front, reverse rotation. Everything now is metric. I believe this is I believe it's like a 220, and this is like a 185, maybe 183 or something. They do everything in millimeters now. But this ring gear is 8 3/8. But again, look at these sizes. This is insanely large stuff. So when you talk about this, when you talk about how the newer style YJ, TJ, JK stuff, that's running your larger Dana 44 size U-joint, what have we done? We have now taken all the weak points in from the gears to the shafts to the U-joints and outers, and now we've gone and made the axle housing the weak point. And what do I mean by that? Well, this being your 72-5 housing, this thing's 50 years old. But if you look at YJs, TJs, and the JK30s, you're running the same diameter axle tube, 2.5 inches, and the same wall thickness, which is only 1/4 inch. And then even in the JKs, yes, the JLs, excuse me, they did upgrade the tube diameter. It's now 2 3/4, but it's only 9/32 thick. So you're 0.28 as opposed to 0.25. So again, you're 30 thousandths better thickness and a 1/4 inch larger diameter, but everything internally has been so upgraded that these housings now are either breaking here in the middle of the tube, the housings are breaking, and I wanted to show you guys here. This is what I mean, because I use a lot of old axle housings to build for newer style Jeeps. This one right here, this is off a Ford housing. These are Ford housings that I used to put in YJs and TJs. Look at, yeah, it's 2 3/4, not the biggest, but look at that wall thickness. That is 1/2 inch thick wall tubing. That is insanely big. And then if you look at, this was off of I believe it was a 1978 or 79 Jeep truck Dana 44. 3-inch, 3/8 wall tubing. Again, crazy strong. And then sometimes you'll run into these, which are 5/16 wall thickness, 2 3/4. But if you're looking at these are still insanely stronger than what you are getting in a YJ, a TJ, a JK, a JL from the factory. So a couple things you can do to remedy it. For the TJs, they came out with the tube sleeves, right? You strip the housing down, drill a bunch of holes in it, take these inner tube sleeves and just hammer them all the way in. And if you do it before this thing gets any movement in it, you hammer that in, you fill your rosettes, and you should be good to go. It should be a ton stronger. I believe they still offer that for the JKs. I don't know if anybody has made anything like that for the JLs. I'm sure it's, being that 2 3/4 weird wall thickness, you'd have to see what would fit in it. But for the guys out there that are keeping your Jeep somewhat stock, especially with the axles, and especially since in the JK and the JL world, pretty much your only aftermarket support for kind of do-it-yourself axles is swapping in a set of 1-ton axles. Well, if you don't want to do that and spend, it can easily cost you 10 grand or more to do that. Maybe start with trying to figure out getting some tube sleeves in there before you have a problem. If you're going to start running 30 at minimum 35s up to 37s, and I've seen guys want to run 40s, especially on the JL stuff now, I think this is absolutely something you need to remedy before you get too many miles on it, and especially before you're going to take it out and start wheeling it hard. You are going to create problems, and especially with the aftermarket support out there, if you break your front housing, you are costing yourself not just thousands of dollars, it can be tens of thousands of dollars to try and remedy these problems. Unless you want to go back to Jeep and say, hey, just sell me another new axle housing. Again, some of you guys are getting these things under warranty, fine, but I would rather not have to rely on a warranty and get out ahead of these problems. Get proactive, try and preemptively stop these problems from happening. And again, everything else in these things is great. You get the coil suspension, you get the much better gears, better U-joints, all that stuff. You do a couple things to remedy these problems, get out ahead of them, you will save yourself a ton of time, a ton of money down the road, and you won't have to be coming to me and saying, hey, I need you to build me, a set of $10,000 to $15,000 axles to put in there. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to take your money, but I'm also a guy that, hey, not every rig needs these upgrades. And what can you do to get out ahead of these things that, is a very inexpensive option? Yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit of time, but long term, man, it's going to save you so much money. And, keep these things on the road. It's no fun to have your Jeep, laid up in the shop. So, all right, guys, hopefully this has been insightful, and we're going to keep making some more videos and putting some more content out there. So stay tuned for that, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right. Thanks, guys.